Estamos con Barry Hughes, que es el director del Pardee Center for International Futures. Es una de las autoridades más importantes en el mundo en términos de planificación, de cómo hacer previsiones o pronósticos de cómo se va a comportar la economía de un país en el futuro, los indicadores que van a tener en adelante. And Barry is now with us because he's working with CEPLAN in doing some of it, in introducing some of its methods in forecasting here in Peru. And basically, we want to ask him what is the importance of having this sort of planning in a government such as the Peruvian one.
It's a terribly important process, and Peru is actually extremely fortunate in my mind to have an organization like CEPLAN that is forward-looking and thinking about the vision of Peru that Peruvians would like to have in 20 years or more, and also in thinking about the plans, the investments, the decisions that need to be made within a society like Peru in order to be able to achieve the goals and targets that such a vision would set. Planning and forecasting underneath planning are both activities that have to be taken with a certain amount of skepticism in terms of the ability to always be right. We know that they are not always right. We have to question our own forecasts. We have to question our own plans. But as I keep saying in this field, we also have to keep making those forecasts and making those plans. Futures don't come into being the way we want unless we are thoughtful about the kind of future we desire and the kinds of interventions that might help us get there.
So just to touch on a current topic of concern in Peru, how big do you think will be the impact of the downturn in commodity prices, for example, for mineral exporters such as Peru?
It's a fundamentally important question, and in fact, I don't know if there's a more important question in the short and mid-run for Peru than that one. Obviously, we have been fortunate globally with respect to the primary commodity exporting countries to have a long-running commodities boom, driven in substantial part by the industrialization and economic growth of China, but also of other countries in the so-called BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and many of the other developing and developed countries. Booms in almost any area alternate with downturns or busts. And there is increasing amount of evidence that the drivers of this particular boom are beginning to weaken. We've seen downturns in commodity prices already in a number of issue areas, a number of commodity areas. Peru has already begun to be affected by this. And my own expectation would be that we are probably going to see a continued downturn for some time. With detrimental consequences for some of the traditional and most important export sectors of the country. That may be a false expectation. As I just suggested, the forecasts are often wrong. But at the same time, though that kind of forecast is increasingly being internalized by many people around the world and within the country, recognizes at least a significant possibility by leaders within CEPLAN and the Peruvian government. And people like Carlos Anderson as the president of CEPLAN, I think that they need to be taken very seriously as potential threats to the country, as well as taking very seriously some of the positive aspects of Peruvian growth over the last 10 years.